Hey everybody, Soseztheleadr talking. We're interrupting your regularly scheduled programming again for the following excerpt reading installment. This time, the excerpt readings will be from this installment. It's called Promises, Promises. I believe this is one of my most original stories. I want to give a shout out, if she's listening, to Danielle Cormack, because she's the one, her character of Ephiny in Xena Warrior Princess inspired me to write a story featuring a character similar to her. But let's get started. I remember this one. This part is the story where this is the scene where Prince Orem of Hetheria, who has been forced to do menial labor to pay off his trust fund. This is where he meets Queen Melissa, who has been turned into a centaur, or in this case, a centaurian, which is what I call centaurs in this story. Let's read. Prince Orem sighed as he drove a horse-drawn cart through the meadow at the end of the forest. How do I get myself into these situations? He thought miserably. Here I am trying to find love. Well, I guess you wouldn't call delivering food to a destitute town finding love, although some could say it's finding love like 1,000 times removed. So, Holmes thought again, here I am trying to find love, and all I can think about is my sister's betrayal of me. 12 years ago, Orem's father, King Goldmire of Hetheria, had taken Hetheria into his family when she was just a newborn. When Orem discovered she had magic powers, he decided to join forces with a warlock named Facet, who, at the time, was posing as Luanne's servant. Together they had tricked Hetheria into creating a potion to make Luanne fall desperately in love with Orem so that she would agree to marry him. However, Orem didn't know that Hetheria had read his mind or turned against him by hiding Luanne in her tower. He never forgave his sister for thwarting his plan to marry Luanne, and since that fateful day, that was all he could think about. I hope Hetheria rots in Melania, Orem thought bitterly. Ever since we met again on her first day of school, we haven't spoken. She probably doesn't even want me to exist anymore. Just as he saw his castle's tallest spire from a distance, the horse pulling the cart stopped dead. He snapped the reins to get the horse to move, but it didn't obey his silent command. Hey, what's going on? He asked, as if he expected the horse to answer him. But then he saw it. An animal. From Orem's point of view, it resembled a black horse, but it had no head or neck, lay on its side. On closer inspection, he saw that the front left hoof was injured with a bleeding gash. Now, why would a horse be out in the meadow on a hot day like today? Orem wondered to himself. Well, I'd better do something. He dismounted the cart to address the problem. Then he gasped, because his horse had the upper body of a human blonde woman. Her flaxen curls framed her face, and her stomach was exposed, with a tight brown top decked with swirls of blue-black beads hugged her chest, and matching brown leather armbands cuffed her upper arms and forearms. She wore a sweatband with a capital letter M fashioned into its metal decoration on her forehead. Around her neck, She wore a silver necklace highlighted by a single large sapphire, and lying in the dirt beside the unconscious creature was a wooden cane with a gold handle. I know I've seen something like her before, Orm thought as he knelt beside her and felt her head, which felt scalding hot. She's burning up! Orm realized in a panicked whisper, I've got to get her some water, fast! Rushing back to the cart, he led the horse in position so that the cart was facing the woman horse. Then he lifted the unconscious creature's front hooves and hoisted her up on his shoulders. Slowly and carefully, Orm helped the woman horse halfway into the cart bed. Then he lifted her back hooves and, straining an effort, managed to lift the rest of her onto the cart bed. Orm mopped his brow with his tunic sleeve. It's really hot out here. I better get whatever she is to Melania awake. He climbed into the driver's seat of the cart and snapping the reins, drove the cart toward Melania. Should have known this would happen, he thought. My sister's probably not even on speaking terms with me anymore. But now this, whatever it is, needs some help, and Melania Lake is the only source of water around here. Melissa heard a deafening roar through her ears. Then she felt something as cold and refreshing as rain hit her tongue and tickled her throat instantly. Slowly her vision and focus returned, and she stared into the depths of brown eyes she sensed were full of concern. As she saw the flawless face with the brown eyes smile at her, she smiled back weakly. How handsome this young man was, and how nice it was that he chose to help her. She opened her mouth to speak, and thanked this man for saving her life, but he put one finger to her lips. Shh, he whispered. Don't try to talk yet. You were out in the sun for far too long. I'm surprised you don't have a heat stroke. You're right, Melissa laughed weakly. I'm not used to this weather. Where I come from, it's cool year-round. On closer inspection, she saw that he was dark-haired, and he wore a white velvet two-piece tunic under a sash festooned with medals. Are you a royal? She asked. How'd you know that? Dark-hair asked. Melissa smiled again. Lucky guess. She sighed with relief as he poured water on her hoof and bandaged it. Thank you, kind sir. You are truly noble beyond your years, she praised. That'll have to do until we can get you to an infirmary, or a veterinarian, whichever you prefer, Darkhair told her. Melissa chuckled at the joke. By the way, if you're wondering, my name's Orm. Prince Orm of Hetheria. He extended his hand, and Melissa shook it politely. Melissa, she returned. Queen Melissa of Polinica. What's that? Queen of Polinica? Orm spluttered, and Melissa nodded. But with all due respect, Your Majesty, you're not, his voice trailed off. Fully human, Melissa finished flatly. Orm winced. Yeah, if you want to call it that. She sighed. Then just call me a Centaurian. Everyone else does. A Centaurian? Orm repeated. You mean you really are the Queen of Polinica? Melissa nodded sadly. A year ago I became this awful creature. I had to run away because no one would understand what happened to me. How would you know? Orm challenged. My people mounted a rebellion to stop the Centaurians when they invaded Polinica, but the price of victory was high, so I joined the battle and helped defeat them. For more than a year now, my people have been waiting for the day I return to them. Before Melissa could explain any more, she heard the pounding hoofbeats of two cantering horses. Using her cane as a support while being careful to put as little pressure on her injured hoof as possible, she picked herself up and stared into the distance. A dark-haired woman with her hair in an elaborate braid cantered a brown horse toward the lake. Beside the woman was a small, dark blonde girl who Melissa figured couldn't be more than 12, riding astride a golden horse. Then Melissa glanced at Orem. He had gone completely white. He must know those girls, Melissa realized, as the two riders pulled their steeds to a stop in front of his cart. Orem, the older girl said politely. Hello, Luanne, Orem returned. Orem, the older girl said politely. Hello, Luanne, Orem returned with a murderously calm tone. Hetheria, he acknowledged the 12-year-old. What? Melissa breathed. Hetheria? Hetheria Winchester? What brings you here? Luanne asked Orem, but Melissa barely heard, as she was staring at the blonde girl with reverence. Business mixed with pleasure, Orem said simply. Our sea is too salty to drink from, so your lake was needed to revive someone. Melissa limped with her cane toward the dark blonde girl, and as she approached her, her sapphire glowed blue. It is true, she said reverently. You are Hetheria Winchester. Then, using her cane for balance, she genuflected before her. So, as you can see, Melissa was looking for help from Hetheria. Why you ask? You're going to have to read into the next chapter to find out what's going on. Because Melissa's appearance will play into the adventure in this book. Let's continue. Okay, this is basically the first physical appearance of the new Lunar Coven. Melissa plays a part in their quest to. Well, I'm gonna read and you can find out for yourself why Melissa plays a part in their group. The moon rose high on the remote island of Ceres, shining down on a clearing within one of its many forests. In that clearing, several tall stones the size of humans stood in a circle. As the moon shone, the stones started to waver and reform themselves. A salt-and-pepper-haired elderly man wearing a glittering purple robe replaced a human-sized stone in the center of the circle. As he watched all around him, the other stones also began metamorphosing, and 12 other men and women, each of them dressed in a blue robe with one crescent moon sewn into it, replaced the circle of stones. The elderly man, known only as the Master, looked over all the chosen ones of his exclusive New Lunar Coven. Then he spoke. Our day will soon come, he told his followers. This year we must bring our immortal huntress into this world. But Pierce has not yet returned, Master, said a blonde woman with a slight Irish accent, known as Karen the Shadow. We'd already activated the tracking spell, but it shows that he has not turned up in this world. Then we must assume he has been eliminated, the Master observed. Otherwise he would have reported his status or returned with that traitor Melissa by now. He turned to a man with a black mustache. Jonathan, have you learned anything from our camouflage agent? Her signal is weak, but I did learn one thing, Jonathan replied. According to information, the traitor Melissa has been hiding out in some remote location, but there seems to be some kind of energy field blocking the focus of our union. Fear not, Jonathan, said the master. She will wait for the right moment to strike. I taught her well. Are you absolutely positive, master? Yes. The reason you cannot focus on Celine is that because there may be a spell of protection guarding Melissa. Those who practice dark magic cannot penetrate the barrier, even with telepathy. So that's why Celine is inside the barrier, Karen concluded. Yes, Karen, my dear shadow, the master confirmed. Celine's power makes her the most gifted of our brethren, next to me. The most gifted of our brethren, Karen spat under her breath. Master, even if Celine does succeed in capturing Melissa, how will she be able to bypass the barrier? All Celine needs to do is become a good magician. Then she'll be able to assume his or her power. Then the master tilted his head upward as a sign of respect for Diana the Huntress. Soon, my immortal huntress, he murmured, soon you shall plunge this world into darkness, and our age will begin. So as you can see, the New Luna Coven has a plan to bring Melissa back for a ritual that will summon Diana, the goddess of the moon, into their world. Let's continue. Oh. This is from part 2 in this book. It's basically what happens when Melissa this is basically the event where Melissa spends her first night as a prisoner of the New Luna Coven back on the island of Ceres. Let's read. The moon rose to mark the night of Midsummer's Eve. The night that would mean doom for all, should Melissa offer her blood for the New Luna ritual. Now, as she watched, an elderly salt and pepper-haired man materialized outside her prison from behind swirls of purple smoke. Good evening, Your Majesty, he said casually, as if ignoring the fact that his permanent guest was shackled and caged. From the glittering purple robe he wore, she knew who he was. The master of the New Luna Coven. How dare you kidnap me, you sadistic snake! Melissa snarled at him, ignoring the tears that still flowed freely. I wouldn't even try to put up a brave front if I were you, the master taunted her. Your shackles are solid diamond, impossible to break. And unless you agree to offer your blood for our ritual, you will rot in that prison until next Midsummer's Eve and beyond. Hey, if you want legendary blood, trap a griffin! Melissa snapped harshly. I'm taken! However, as helpless as a lame pony now, Melissa could only tug her hooves against her shackles, but it was no use. She could not budge them. You are truly willful, the master said reverently. I admire that. Your people must respect you greatly. Melissa snarled again and grasped the prison bars as if she could break them through sheer will. What would you know about respect? She growled. You misled my beloved and then destroyed him in cold blood! The master sighed willfully. The master sighed wistfully. Yes, I see now why you loved Evander so. I only wish he was still here to see what I helped him make of you. Helped? Melissa repeated skeptically. Her voice became a snarling yell. Help! hooped! You intended to turn me into this thing! You knew that if I was a centaurian, then offering my blood for this crazy ritual would return you your filthy spirit! And furthermore, I cannot return to rule Politica because no one there will understand my plight! My life is over because of you! His eyes widened in mock innocence. Is it that obvious? Melissa glared at him. I'm warning you. I have friends who won't give up until they find me. So if you don't let me go right now, I'll rip out your tongue and stuff it in your ear! She finished in a scream. The master merely smirked. Bold words for a helpless prisoner, he said pointedly, deflating Melissa's spirits. So you will stay within your gracious accommodations until you agree to our terms. Gracious my eye, Melissa muttered darkly. Hetheria will rescue me, and then we'll see you last. Not likely, the master countered. Did you forget that Selene easily fooled you? And you used to be one of us. A life I would rather choose to forget, Melissa spat. But, Wizard of Hetheria or not, Hetheria is but a mere child. So even if she does have the gall to challenge me, I shall not hesitate to destroy her. And then he vanished behind swirls of purple smoke. Fine, Melissa muttered, folding her arms. It's your funeral. As you can see, Melissa has absolute faith that despite the fact that she was captured by the New Luna Coven, Hetheria would not give up until she found and rescued her. That's what I call undying faith. Let's continue. This is one of my favorite scenes in this whole installment. It shows that it seems Hetheria cannot be deceived by magical beings, especially shapeshifters, which is what Selene is. So I want to read to you how Hetheria exposed Selene when Selene tried to trick her and Luanne. Guided by the enchanted horseshoe, Hetheria and Luanne made their way to the densest, darkest part of the forest. Are you sure this is the right way? Luanne asked Hetheria with a puzzled look. This spot looks exactly like the last spot. Just then the horseshoe tugged Hetheria harder. The shoe never lies, she said simply. Unless it's on the ground or the floor, Luanne quipped. Hetheria rolled her eyes. They're wrong. Now's not the time for jokes. Not the time for jokes, she scolded her sister. Then she exhaled. We better move faster. We don't have much time. Luanne! A faint but familiar voice suddenly called. Hetheria! Where are you? Hetheria? I don't think we're going to need that tracking spell after all, Luanne suggested. That was Melissa's voice! Come on! Luanne, wait! It could be! Hetheria started, but Luanne was already charging into the unknown. A trap, she muttered to herself. Then she exhaled and thought, I have got to do something about Luanne's impetuous attitude, or she's going to get us both in trouble someday! Sticking the horseshoe into the pocket of her jeans, Hetheria raced after the princess toward Melissa's voice. Luanne! Melissa's voice called again. Hetheria! Melissa! Luanne called back, and as Hetheria watched, all three of them caught sight of one another in a grassy forest clearing. As Luanne and Melissa shared a hug, Hetheria felt a nagging sensation in the pit of her stomach as she thought, why do I get the feeling our search hasn't... Why do I feel that our search hasn't ended? Are you okay? Luanne asked, concerned. I'm just fine, Melissa assured her. I managed to escape the loonies, but they're after me. Good news is they didn't get what they needed. Great! Then we have to make our stand here. I'll lead them away from this location, Melissa said as she drew her sword. That was when it hit Hetheria. Aha! I thought I smelled a rat, she thought. And we'll prepare for a trap for those loons when they come here, Luanne suggested. Just as Melissa turned to leave, Hetheria cleared her throat so as to make her stop in her tracks. Actually, I don't think so, she said matter-of-factly. I'm on to your little game now. Selling, she finished ominously. At that accusation, Melissa turned around slowly, smiling so as to confirm Hetheria's suspicions. So, Melissa said, you know about me. Too bad it won't help, because you're too late to stop us. And with that, she lashed out with a lightning bolt, sending it Hetheria's way. But Hetheria fired back with raised palms and a magical shield, sending the bolt hurtling back towards Celine and striking an unusual target. Celine screamed in pain as she clutched her right ear, which was smoking. My earlobe! She squealed. You severed my earlobe! With her free hand, she raised a threatening finger at Hetheria. This is not over, Hetheria. I'll return and you'll pay. You haven't seen the last of the lunar shapeshifter. Then, pop, she blinked out of existence. But how did you know? Luanne asked Hetheria. Elementary, Luanne. When we first met Melissa and Melania, Elementary, Luanne, Hetheria said. When we first met Melissa and Melania, she was holding a cane in her right hand. The Melissa who just tried to trap us drew her sword with her left hand, Luanne realized, slapping her forehead with the palm of her hand. I can't believe I missed that. I guess that's why I'm the Wizard of Glory and you're the apprentice, Hetheria teased. Then she sighed. But now the master knows we're here, she added seriously. That's why he sent Celine to trap us. So we can't use a frontal assault now to rescue Melissa. She picked up the severed earlobe from the grass. Luanne groaned in disgust. Hetheria, do we have to bring that with us? It's bloody and disgusting. Do you want to have your revenge against Celine and rescue Melissa? Yes? Hetheria wheedled. Then her voice became a scream. Then put that love into the spare dial we brought! Daisy Lou, do you want the ghost captured? Luanne quipped as she uncorked the vial in her dress pocket and dropped Celine's lobe into it. So as you can see, Celine tried to trick Luanne and Hetheria, but thanks to her magical senses, Hetheria was not easily deceived. So, I'm hoping you enjoyed these excerpt readings. If you want to hear more excerpt readings in the future, be sure to like, comment, and share this video. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Also, be sure to check out my playlists for other excerpt readings, because I intend to because I intend to read from more of my installments in the Princess Luanne and Wizard Heatheria series. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. So says the leader, signing off. Peace out.